tayo ng Math-aral. Sa Math walang maiiwan. Math-sayang Math-aral, tayo ng Math-tuto upang ika'y umasenso. Maging matyaga, maging matalino, halina Math-aral na tayo. Maging matyaga, maging matalino, halina Math-aral na tayo. Halina Math-aral na tayo. Halina Math-aral na tayo. Halina, 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 aral na tayo.
Good morning sa lahat ng Batang MANDunong na nanonood today, and welcome to Project SOAR, series of online academic reviews of mathematics CLAID learning modules. Today we will be discussing for the quarter 4, week 4 of Mathematics 7, and by the way, I'm Marvin, Chief HHIS teacher from HHIS Integrated School. The lesson that we are going to discuss for today is about the measures of central tendency of group data. When we are talking about measures of central tendency, so we will be looking for the mean, median, and mode. So our objective for today is to calculate the measures of central tendency of group data. Okay, before we discuss the finding the mean, the median, and the mode of group data, let us first have a review of the previous lesson, which is finding the central tendency of ungrouped data. So here's the example number 1. There are scores of 15 grade 7 students in mathematics, and then we are asked to find the mean, the median, and the mode. Okay, so let's first find the mean of the scores of 15 grade 7 students. So when we are talking about mean, so we are referring to the average, okay, the average of all the scores of the 15 students. So all we just have to do is to add the total scores and divide it by the total number of students who took the test. So this is the solution. So we need to add all the scores of 15 students, then divide it by 15. So that's 375 divided by 15, so the answer is 25. So the mean or the average of 15 students in mathematics course is 25. Okay, next is finding the median. So when we are talking about median, we are talking about the middlemost score. Okay, the middle. So in finding the median, all we just have to do is to arrange the scores in order and find the middlemost score. There are two cases for the median. If the number of scores is even, so we have two middlemost, so we just have to add the two middlemost and divide it by 2. Another case, if the scores is odd, just like this in this case, like 15 is an odd, so there is an exactly one middlemost score. So for the 15 set of data, so the middlemost score is the 8 data. And the 8 data in this in order or increasing order of data is 25. So therefore, the median or the middlemost score is 25. Okay, lastly, we have to find the mode. So this is the easiest way of measures of central tendency. So the mode is the most frequent score in the data set. So in the listed data set, so we just have to find which of the following scores occurred most. And the most frequent scored in this example is 33 because it occurred 3 times here. So therefore, our mode is 33. Now there are cases that we do not have mode. Sometimes we have 2 modes and sometimes there are 3. So that depends on the given data. Okay, I guess we will be now proceeding with the measures of central tendency for group data. Now, I'd like to tell you that for the group data, so we will be dealing different formulas for finding the mean, the median, and the mode. So here's the formula for finding the mean of group data. So in the example later on, so we will discuss this formula. And here's the formula for finding the median of group data. Okay, so again, I'll be discussing it to you later on once we are in the example. And lastly, here's the formula for finding the mode of group data. I think we can already start with the first example. So it says here that using the given data below, we need to find the mean, the median, and the mode. So as you can see, the given is not ungroup data, but this is a group data because the data is already in a frequency table. So we have the scores like from 0 to 4. So we have 3 as the frequency. Well, that means that there are 3 students who got a score from 0 to 4. And there are 2 students who got a score from 5 to 9. And there are 10 students who got 10 to 14 scores. And there are 6 frequency or students who got 15 to 19 scores. And we have 11 students who got 20 to 24 as their scores in the test. And then finally, we have 8 students who got 25 to 29 as their score. So this is the given data. It's already in the frequency table. And in this case, we have to use the formula for finding the mean, the median, and the mode. So let's first find the mean. So this is again the formula for finding the mean. So the mean is equal to the summation. So this one, the letter E or Z, sigma. So this is a notation for summation. So the total, that summation, of the product of F x sub m divided by n. So the F here is the frequency, x sub m is the class mark or the midpoint of each of the class interval, and then n is the total frequency. Again, this is the given data. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to find the total frequency as our step number 1. So F here. So when we are talking about total, we have to add. So 3 plus 2 plus 10 plus 6 plus 11 plus 8. So the total of that is 40. So our n is equal to 40. So the total frequency is 40. Step number 2 is to get the class mark, the x sub m, of each class interval by getting the midpoint. So again, when we say midpoint, that is the middle, okay, among the set of data or scores. Okay. So in this case, this is the class mark 0 to 4. So that means we have to find the midpoint. So to find the midpoint, all we just have to do is to add the endpoint. So 0 plus 4, that's 4, and then divided by 2, so that we can find the middle most or middle part of this set of scores. So 0 to 4, the midpoint is 2. Then we write it here. Okay? And then also for 5 to 9, so the midpoint is 7. So we can also have this as an example. 5 plus 9 is 14 divided by 2, that's 7. Then 10 plus 14, that's 24, divided by 2, that's 12. And so on and so forth. Then we have to fill it in this third column. This column is for the class mark of each of the class interval or the midpoint. Okay, the step number 3, we have to multiply now the frequency, this one, the second table, column, and multiply it by the x sub n, which is the class mark. And then we have to put the product here on the fourth column. So 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 7, 14, 10 times 12, 120, 6 times 17 is 102, 11 times 22 is 242, 8 times 27 is 216. So we have to put it here. Okay, the next step is to get the summation, okay, or the total of x times, f times x sub m is 1. Okay, the fourth column. So we have to get the summation. So when we're talking about total or summation, so we have to plus 6 plus 14 plus 120 plus 102 plus 242 plus 216. So the summation is equal to 700. And then finally, it says here, divide the summation. So this one, we have to divide the summation, which is 700, by the total frequency, or the n here, okay, to find the mean. Okay, so our mean is equal to 700 divided by 40, and that is 17.5. Okay, so it's really easy, okay, to find the mean, okay, because we just have to use, okay, this table. Okay, next let us now proceed to finding the median of group data. So here's the formula for finding the median of the group data. So this variable, the x sub LB, this is the lower class boundary of the median class, plus n divided by 2. Remember that n is the total frequency, minus less than cumulative frequency above the median class. Okay, divided by f sub m, which is the frequency of the median class, and multiplied it by the I, or the class size. Okay, so again, this is the given data, okay, in our example number 1, and this is what we are going to find, the median, okay, among these frequencies. Okay, so solution, step number 1 is to get the cumulative frequency by adding the frequency, okay, here. So this, we have to add another column for a less than cumulative frequency. So we started with the 3. Okay, so we have to write 3, and then we have to add 3 plus 2, so that gives us 5, and then 5 plus 10, that gives us 15, and 15 plus 6, that gives us 21, and then 21 plus 11, that gives us 32, and 32 plus 8, that gives us 40. So this is the less than cumulative frequency. Okay. After that, we have to divide the total frequency by 2 to locate the median class. Okay, when we are dealing with the median, we're locating it in the middle. So we have to divide it by 2. So divide the total frequency. The total frequency is 40, and we have to divide it by 2. So the answer is 20. Okay, so that means here, okay, this is our median class, this part. Okay. The median of the data belongs on this row. Okay, step number 3, get the cumulative frequency less than the median class. Okay, so this is the median class. Just like what I told you earlier, this is the median class. And we have to find less than, okay, less than the median class. So that means we have to move up, which is 15. So that is now the cumulative frequency less than the median class. So that is 15. Okay. Now, let us proceed now with the number 4, step 4, which is identify the frequency of the median class. So again, the median class is this one, and then the frequency. So here's the table column for frequency, the second table, and we have 6. Okay, so that is our f sub m. Okay, next, identify the class size. So the class size is the range. Okay, 0 to 4 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the scores. And the class size is therefore 5. 0 to 4 is 5. So the class size, or the I, is 5. Okay, next is identify the lower class boundary of the median class. So again, in this class size, this is the low. We will be subtracting 0.5 or 1/2 from this range, okay, to get the lower boundary. Okay, so 0 minus 1 half, so that gives us negative 0.5. And then 5 minus 1 half, that gives us 4.5. And then 10 minus 1 half, that gives us 9.5. 15 minus 0.5, that gives us 14.5. And 20 minus 0.5, that gives us 19.5. And also for the last, 25 minus 0.5, or minus 1 half, that gives us 24.5. Now we have to identify the lower class boundary of the median class. So again, this is the median class. So we need to find the boundary, the lower boundary, and that's it. So the lower boundary for x sub LB is equal to 14.5. Now after identifying all the variables that we need to find in order to solve the median of the group data, we will be now substituting these values of XL sub LB, the n less than cumulative frequency, the frequency of the median class, and the class size to the formula and solve the median of the group data. Okay, so here's the solution. So we substituted 14.5 to the lower boundary of the median class. Then n divided by 2, that's 40 divided by 2, that's 20. Then the cumulative, less than cumulative frequency, that's 15. And then the frequency of the median class, that's 6. And then I, that's equal to 5, the class size. So first, 20 minus 15, that's 5. Then divide by 6, that's 0.83. Then multiply by 5, that gives us 14.5. And add it to 14.5. So that gives us the median, which is 18.65. Okay. Anyway, in this lesson, you can use a calculator for solving this kind of problem. It's better to use a calculator if you do not know how to solve this by using the PEMDAS. Okay, now let us proceed now to finding the mode of the group data. So again, this is the formula. So again, we will be dealing with the lower class boundary of the model class. Okay, model, that means the model class is the most it is the row where where most students got the score. And then the D sub 1 is the difference between the frequency in the model class and the frequency in the next lower class interval. And the D sub 2 is the difference between the frequency in the model class and the frequency in the next higher class interval. And of course, the I, which is the class size. And again, this is the given data. Okay, now let us find the mode. So step number 1 is identify the class interval with the highest frequency. And that will become the model class. So here's the column for the frequency, and let us find the class interval with the highest frequency. So here's the 11 is the highest frequency. So this will be the model class, the 20 to 24. That means most students got these scores from 20 to 24. So that will be the model class. Okay, next, determine the lower class boundary of the model class. So again, okay, so this is the model class, and the lower boundary, we just subtract 0.5 to 20. So 20 minus 0.5, that gives us 19.5. So that's D sub 1. No, it's the lower boundary, I mean. Okay, next, let's find the D sub 1, or the difference of the frequency of one model class interval and the next lower class. So this is again the model class. So the frequency is 11. And then next lower. So the next lower is here. This one, the 6. Okay, it is lower kasi yung dito tayo nag-start ng scores 0 to 4. So papunta doon, pataas is the lower, and pababa is the higher. So that is 6. Okay? So 11, we have to subtract kasi sabi dito, difference between the frequency in the modal class, which is 11, and the frequency next lower class. So 11 minus 6 is 5. So this is our d sub 1. Okay, next let us find the d sub 2. So d sub 2 is the difference between the modal class and the frequency in the next higher. Okay, so again, so this is the modal class. And the frequency of the modal class is 11 and higher, dito tayo, so pababa kasi pataas yung class size. So that is 8. So 11 minus 8 is equal to 3. So our d sub 2 is equal to 3. And then number 5, we have to identify again the class size. So ang class size natin, ito yun, 0 to 4. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 na scores, and the class size is 5. Okay? Okay, the next is we have to substitute the values for the lower class boundary of the modal class and the d sub 1, the d sub 2, and the I to the formula and solve for the mode of the group data. So, ito na po ang solution natin. So, ang lower boundary natin is 19.5. Ang d sub 1 natin is 5. And then, ayan, d sub 1 again is 5. And then d sub 2 is 3. And then, ang I natin is 5. So, una, we have to add the denominator here, the 5 plus 3. So, we have 8. And then we divide. That's 5 divided by 8. That gives us 0.63. And multiply it by 5. That's 3.15. And add it to 19.5. That gives us 22.65. So, that means that is now the mode. That is 22.65. Take note that we always round up the nearest 100 or 2 decimal places pagdating dito sa mid, median, and mode. Para pare-pareho tayo na. Okay, that's all for today, and thank you. If masyadong mabilis ako pag-discuss, then you can go over with this video, and this will be available also in YouTube or in FB. Okay, but don't forget to subscribe sa ating projects more as a support, and click nyo yung bell button for other videos that you can watch para mas marami tayo. Again, this is Sir Fridias from Highway Hills Integrated School, and thank you for watching this video, and I do hope na makatulong ang video na to for this coming week. Okay, so this coming Monday, your teacher will be discussing the measures of central tendency for group data. So you just go over with this video, watch it again and again, and then you can answer the activities in your module. Thank you for watching again.